Okay, so today we're going to examine the human and environmental causes of the Dust Bowl and its effects, okay? So before we get into the meat and potato of our lessons, what I have here is I've taken a photograph from actual events that took place during the Dust Bowl, and I have 3 questions that I'm going to ask you regarding the photograph. And here's a copy, what the picture looks like, okay? So I have 3 questions that I'm going to ask you regarding this photograph. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do, the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this photograph, and I want you to name 3 things that you notice in the photograph. Okay? So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that, a couple seconds to do that, to name 3 things that you notice in this photograph right here. Okay, so now, what I want you to do is, I want you to take a look at the photograph. Now, when I say take a look at the photograph, I want you to examine the details in the photograph, okay? So, I want you to see the houses. I want you to see the big clouds of dust, okay? I want you to look at how dark the clouds of dust are, okay? I want you to look at that house. If you think about a house is usually what? 30 feet in the air. Look how big the clouds are compared to the house. These are all the things I want you to take note of when you look at this photograph. And the reason I want you to take note of it is because these things are going to help us understand what the residents went through, and also the causes and effects of these massive storms. Look at these clouds, okay? Look how dark they are. Imagine 70-mile-per-hour winds throwing dust, okay? Destroying your land, destroying your shelter. That's what took place here, okay? So now, the second picture, it says, the second question I have is, what do you think the residents thought when they saw this dust storm rolling into town? Okay? What do you think the residents thought when they saw this dust storm rolling into town? Okay? So now, I'm going to rephrase that question for you. Let me rephrase that for you. What do you think the people who live there was thinking about when they saw this storm approaching? Okay, what do you think was going through their mind when they saw the storm approaching? Again, I still want you to take notice of the clouds, okay, of the dark clouds, of the dust. Again, how big they are. Look at your land. Look at what is around you. Do you see anywhere where it looks like you can get shelter? What do you think the residents were thinking about as these storms rolled through? Okay, now again, remember, it's called a dust bowl, dust storm, okay? That right there tells you how scary the scene must be if we're looking at these events, okay? So I really want you to tell me, what do you think residents were going through? Okay, so now, as you can see, I've given you a sentence starter, okay? Some of the sentence starter says, the residents from the town may have felt, and go on, okay? Or, the residents were thinking about as the dust storm approached the town. I really give you this is a basis to help you, okay, start your sentence, get your ideas out there. I really want you to give me details. What do you think was going through their mind? How do you think they were reacting? What do you think they were focusing about? Was it their family? Was it their crops? Was it their house? What was going on? Okay. Third question. How would you feel if you were in here and you saw this storm coming into town? What would you do? Now, this question really makes you think, okay? Now, we're not thinking about what the residents would do. Now, what you're doing is you're thinking about what would you do, okay? Take yourself and put yourself in this situation, okay? Now, when I say put yourself in a situation, imagine you are an individual in this town. There's nothing around you. You come outside and you see these 70-foot, 100-foot clouds rolling in with dust blowing, the 70-mile-per-hour winds. You see stuff getting destroyed. What would you do? Okay? What would you do? How would you feel? Okay? What are things that you're going to be worried about? I want to know, what are you going to be thinking about? What do you think is the first thing that you should do when you see the storm? Okay? What is your plan of action? Alright? And now I want you to think, the reason that I asked you what is your plan of action when you see something like this, if you were there, is because now that is going to help us relate to the people who actually did live through this, okay? It is going to help us be able to empathize or be able to connect, understand what they went through when we go on and we move on through the chapter and examine the Dust Bowl, the effects, what are some of the causes of it, how did it come about, how did it get this bad, why was this happening, okay? And that is the reason that we're asking these questions, okay? So, how would you feel if you were here and you saw this storm coming, okay? What would you do? Okay, so you can start this one off with saying, if I was here and I saw this storm coming, I would, and then go on. I want you to give me details. Let me know, what would you do? What would you be thinking about? What is your plan? Give it to me, okay? I want you to explain to me what is going to take place.